Hey, Courtney.
Hey, Jennifer.
I've been working on a slogan for our new mini-series.
Ooh, what do you got so far?
Florida, where we don't care if a kid falls off a roof, but heaven forbid they read a book. Welcome to MILF.
I'm Courtney.
And I'm Jennifer.
And we are two moms into literary freedom. So welcome to our new mini-series where we don't talk about books. We talk about the hypocrisy of certain state laws.
Yeah, and we're calling it What the Fuck Florida.
Yes. So this episode, and probably most episodes, will be about Florida. But we were going to do like What the Fuck fill in the blank, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. So,
this one is What the Fuck Florida.
I have a feeling that most of our episodes are going to be What the Fuck Florida or What the Fuck Texas.
Pretty
or
much.
Maybe What the Fuck Kentucky. I don't know. I don't want to put Kentucky in there with Florida and Texas.
Yeah, they're not as bad.
No, I think they've gotten a little better in the past.
Tennessee might be another contender.
Ooh, yeah, true. But anyway, we figured, like when we do our book episodes, we should really just focus on the book. And oftentimes we get distracted in all the goings-ons that are going on.
Yeah.
And so we'll spend like 45 minutes talking about, some senator that slept with his intern or something when we should be talking about a book.
Right. So hopefully this will alleviate that a little bit.
Yes.
And we can focus more on books on those episodes.
Yes.
And then talk our shit here.
Yeah, we're going to talk some mad smack. But that reminds me to bring us to our first topic of talking mad smack. What was that bill we were talking about yesterday? It's like, it's in my text messages. So let me pull it up here. But it's the one where you could get sued for, quote, defamation.
Oh, yeah. That's going to be a fun one.
But what is like the language is very specific. It's like, if you say their name or, quote, likeness.
Yeah. What is that?
I don't know. So the name of the bill is, it's House Bill 757. And it basically says that so it's called A Bill to be entitled An Act Relating to Defamation, False Light, and Unauthorized Publication of Name or Likeness. So to me, you really have to do a good job defining the word defamation. And I was kind of talking to someone about this, and they're like, well, like you would have to really say something that's like inaccurate or untrue or something, which this bill hasn't passed yet. So like we could say, oh, Ron DeSantis is gay. Like that would be an example of defamation.
That's right.
Yeah, because he hasn't come out of the closet. So we
can't prove it.
Right.
But we can say he wears heels, right? Because that's kind of been proven.
Yes. And so that's what I was concerned about. I was like, well, what if we just like came up with really fun nicknames for everyone? And I don't know whose nickname this would be, but big boy boots. Like that would be a really fun nickname for someone who wears heel inserts to appear to be taller.
I think that works.
So anyway, that is the first bill to look out for. It's not officially a law, right?
Okay, so we can still talk our shit right now?
Yes, we can still talk our shit. Even though I would argue this isn't defamation, like when you're criticizing a politician, and that's where some of the backlash from this bill is coming from. It's like, well, if you're elected to a political office, then you're opening up the door to be criticized for the things that you're doing. Because that's just the nature of the game.
So this bill is just specific to
politicians.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It says requiring that certain articles or broadcasts be removed from the internet within a specified period to limit damages for defamation, providing persons in certain positions relating to newspapers with immunity for defamation if such persons exercise due care to prevent utterance of such a statement, requiring removal of defamatory statements from the internet in certain circumstances, providing a definition. Well, that's good. Providing venue for damages for a defamation or privacy tort based on material broadcast over. Okay, I'm going to stop reading. This is just incredibly boring and vague, and I don't want to, kill everyone with boredom. But like we've been saying, the language of this bill is super vague.
So it looks like it's only against journalists? Or like anyone who has a platform.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, like that could be us too.
Right.
But I do know that the ACLU of Florida opposes this bill, which has advanced as of January 18th. And so it basically undermines, according to this article from the ACLU, is it undermines decades of Supreme Court precedent on defamation lawsuits and would chill the speech of individuals, such as ourselves, and entities that are critical of public officials.
Yeah, that's definitely what it's giving. Like, don't criticize us or we'll sue you.
Exactly. And like, that's the thing is like, what is your definition of defamation? Like, if I say that you are a hypocrite and an asshole for allowing, children to work until 11 p.m. And to risk their lives on roofs, but they're not allowed to pick out their own book, is that considered defamation?
Right. Do we just have to say this is our opinion?
Yeah.
Only our opinion?
Yes.
Sort of shit.
Yeah. It is my opinion that you suck. Like,
and I've had a school board member accuse me of defaming her.
Oh,
simply for, and because I post about her, and I just say what she's said from the dais. Dais, right? I always get confused.
Dais. Sure.
So I'm not defaming you. I'm just literally saying what you've said up there and calling you out on it.
There's one thing, though, that caught my interest when I first heard about this, because when I was running for school board, the other side, and I'm not totally sure like who paid for this mailer, but I think, I'm sure Will Furry had something to do with this. But
allegedly.
Yeah.
So we don't get sued.
Allegedly. No, I know for a fact it was the one that said wanted, remember?
Oh, yeah.
For being armed and dangerous. Yeah. But, like in smaller words, it said armed with like liberal ideas and dangerous with wokeness or something like that. I don't know. It was stupid. And then it had a picture of me in like black and white that made it look like I was like in jail or something.
Or like on a wanted poster, right?
Yeah.
Like old school Western.
Yeah. And it was like Courtney wants to sexualize your children, or like she wants to give porn to kids. That was actually a commercial. Like that could fall under this bill because of, it's untrue.
Right.
So but at the same time, it's like, even if I were to take whoever was responsible for that to court, like there's a chance that I could lose because they would just argue that I did want to give kids porn because I supported All Boys Aren't Blue by George M. Johnson for 16 and 17-year-olds, right? And so in their definition, so it's like the vagueness of the language in the bill could go either way. It really just depends on like who's on your side and how much money you're giving them.
Yeah.
So it's all,
And I feel like defamation laws are already in place. Why do we need this in addition?
Yeah.
Just to protect politicians.
It's just one of many very concerning bills out there, which we're going to briefly kind of make you aware of. And the whole point of this is to spread awareness, because knowledge is power, and to hopefully encourage some of our listeners to write their politicians in opposition or support of these bills. So, and we'll, provide you with the information necessary to do that in our show notes.
Yeah. And there's been a few Florida laws, or not laws, bills that have been brought up recently. You have more information on these than I do, but I know there's some about child labor laws.
Yes.
Which is why we started with that teaser.
Yes. So that was the teaser of the episode, and that's basically, what was that, HB 460?
460, yeah.
Okay, so it's...
SB.
Sorry, SB. Okay, so SB 460, it was filed by Senator Corey Simon, a Republican from Tallahassee, and it alters the state's child labor laws. But interestingly enough, it's like called something about advancing careers or something. And so it's very...
misleading?
Yes, it's called the Career and Technical Education Bill.
Oh, okay. Which sounds like they'd be getting some sort of schooling here.
Mm-hmm. Yes. It says providing an exemption for minors to work in specified conditions. That's all it says in like the little blurb. excuse me. I think that's the last of that one. But that's all it says in the little blurb on the Senate website. But if you were to open the bill and read again the really boring and vague language, you would learn that what it's saying is like you can be 16 and work on a roof or scaffolding, which is very high up,
right,
and risk falling and gravely injuring yourself. It also and actually that was amended thanks to people opposing it. So that's a victory for us because they said, okay, we're not going to allow 16 and 17-year-olds to work on really high scaffolding or on roofs. So,
okay, but they can still work long hours.
Yeah, they can work longer hours. They amended the amount of hours that 16 and 17-year-olds can work and the up until like 11 p.m. on
and
school
with
nights.
Less breaks.
Yes, and with less breaks. Very good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, which of course, who does that affect? Because rich kids are not going to be taking these jobs.
Exactly.
They don't have to help their family pay bills.
Exactly.
They don't need the extra money to pay for their own stuff. Mm-hmm. So it's going to have lower income families having their kids working instead of in school.
Yep. And the sponsors of this bill are saying, oh, we're just trying to like give opportunities to students to advance their careers. In reality, it's exploiting children, like you said, that are in these situations that result in them having to work at construction sites. Which I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with like a 16-year-old saying I want to be a construction worker, but what if that 16-year-old wants to go to college to get a business degree first and then become a construction worker or open their own construction company? Like, when you're 16 years old, you don't know what you want to do for the rest of your life. Why are you being told, oh, you're just going to be a roofer? So here you go. We're putting you on this roof, and you're going to work until 11 p.m.
And you won't have time to study.
Exactly.
So you're going to start, declining in school.
And so you won't be able to get into a post-secondary institution. And there goes, any sort of chance at getting a business degree.
So this will be your life.
Exactly.
Moving forward. Just get used to it.
Because when you're 16 and 17, you don't know what you want. But if you're told, oh, this is what you want, then that's it. So anyway, that is House Bill, what did I say?
Senate Bill 460.
Senate Bill 460.
It's so confusing because they have House Bill, Senate Bill, all these numbers.
House Bill comes first. And then, I don't know. You know what? This is not a podcast on how the government works.
Yeah, don't expect us to explain it to you.
But this is a podcast about some of these bills that are just full of hypocrisy. So that's the child labor one. What else do we got, Jennifer?
What else do we have? We have, so they want to ban flags from public buildings.
Yes.
So that's House Bill 901 and Senate Bill 1120, which is essentially the purpose of it is to ban pride flags.
Yes.
But they can't really come out and say that, or did they come out and say that in the bill?
I don't know. Let's pause and take a look. All right, so it says an act relating to the display of flags by governmental entities, which at first I thought it was just public, but it says governmental.
Okay.
Yeah. Requiring the governmental entity to remain neutral in certain circumstances, providing applicability, requiring certain governmental entities to display the United States flag in a certain position, providing an effective date. So this is a very short bill. It's 2 pages. It goes on to say, the term governmental entity means a governmental agency, local government, or another unit of local government and includes public schools. There you go. Public colleges and public universities. A governmental entity may not erect or display a flag that represents a political viewpoint, including but not limited to a politically partisan, racial, sexual orientation, and gender, or a political ideology viewpoint. The governmental entity must remain neutral when representing political viewpoints and displaying or erecting a flag.
See, and I think that's such bullshit because someone's gender, how they identify, all of that.
That's not political. Yeah, and on top of that,
homophobia is not political.
It's legal to be gay.
Right.
It's legal to marry someone of the same sex federally, which will bring us to actually the next thing that we're going to talk about. What is that? The deletion of that really old statute.
Oh, where you can't wear a bathing suit?
Yes. So there are these really old statutes. Like, we'll give you an example. I know this is confusing, but I swear it all connects. But in Kentucky, did you know that you can't wear a bathing suit on the side of the road or on a street or something? Like, you can't be walking down the street in a bathing suit until 1974. You were fined. So there's all kinds of weird.
And only women.
Only women. Oh, yeah.
Right.
And then here, let me pull it up. It was like, one weird law states, no female shall appear in a bathing suit within the state unless she be escorted by at least 2 officers or unless she be armed with a club.
Were they worried she was going to be raped?
Raped, yeah. So if she had a club, that's okay. She could wear a bathing suit because she could club away her attackers.
So it was to help us poor defenseless
Yes,
women.
it's such a nice feminist law. The law was later changed to add, the provisions of this statute shall not apply to females weighing less than 90 pounds or exceeding 200 pounds.
Because that's not attractive?
I don't
Like,
know.
Why?
Do they mean like, oh, if it's a kid, it's okay? Or if you're overweight, it's okay? I have no idea. Oh, but also it should apply to female horses.
Right. Because, there's horses that weigh less than 200 pounds. We see that all the time. And in bathing suits.
I'm not making this up. The statute number, for those of you that are like, you're making this up, is KRS 436.140.
And we'll include it in the
Sure. Yeah.
in the show notes.
But there's all kinds of statutes that are outdated like that, which brings us to the one that, one of the bills that we are actually supporting, which is Senate Bill 160.
And that repeals the ban on
same-sex
marriage.
Yeah, which I had no idea. There was even an active Florida statute that bans the recognition of same-sex marriage. Did you know that?
No, I mean, as far as I knew, it was always legal, right?
Yeah, because I remember on June 26th, 2000 something or other, probably like, I think it was 2016 or 17, somewhere around there, it was passed at the federal level that gay marriage was legal. And I remember that because it was my birthday.
Ah.
Yeah. And so gay marriage became legal, not too long ago. But I think this statute is just like an outdated statute that hopefully, I don't know, but you never know. It's WTF Florida.
Right.
Like that bill, SB 160, could die before.
Well, I feel like a lot of these laws too, I feel like they overstep a lot. Mm-hmm. And like the flags, why can't they, First Amendment rights and all that, like don't the same people who are always talking about the First Amendment right and freedom of speech, are always so quick to take that speech away from other people.
Yep. And so speaking of that, it says, this is the bill for the banning of the flags in governmental entities. It says, this subsection does not limit the ability of a private individual to express private speech or viewpoints or exercise rights protected by the First Amendment to the United States Constitution. So they're like, oh, no, we're not violating your First Amendment because the bill is saying you as a private individual can express your private speech. What? If I don't understand that. I guess basically what it's saying is like, well, this is not what it's saying. Because if you're a teacher at a school, could you wear a pride flag on your shirt? No.
Right.
You couldn't.
But then they're going to come up with the bullshit that's dress code.
Yeah, yeah. So this law would go into effect July 1st, 2024. And it should be noted that pride flags aren't being displayed on schools, like on the flagpole, but like that. This kind of goes into another bill that we're going to talk about, which is the Safe Spaces bill. It's like the same thing, don't you think?
Similar, yeah. So that's House Bill 833 and Senate Bill 1708. And that one is removing, right, the removal or not allowing safe space LGBTQ stickers.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, you can't have your flags, you can't have your stickers. Basically what we're doing is we are taking away any sort of recognition or, acknowledgement that gay people exist.
Right. It's basically saying we want everyone back in a closet.
Mm-hmm. Everyone needs to go back into their closet because it's illegal to say gay, it's illegal to say trans, which brings us to House Bill 1233. And, it is House Bill.
I just closed the thing. Hold on.
It's two House bills. One of them is 1233 and the other one is 1639. And it's called the Trans Erasure Bill. And that's a big one.
House Bill 1639 would make it easier for health insurance providers to refuse to offer coverage for gender-affirming healthcare, such as hormone replacement therapy or surgery. So that just would create an additional barrier for trans people trying to get access to life-saving healthcare.
And I mean, I've read in places where a lot of trans people are leaving the state of Florida. And, they have been for some time now, but this is just sort of,
Yeah, because I've heard it's also, I'm not sure if this bill addresses that, but I just said it, right? Access to medication?
I don't know.
Yeah, hormone replacement therapy, which would be medicine.
And I just want to take this as an opportunity to remind people out there, and I'm sure our listeners know this, but to the people that are challenging you on the the inaccurate narrative that people who support the trans community and trans rights want to hack the genitals off of children. Like, that's not what this is. No. There's the hormonal replacement medication or treatment or whatever it is basically just sort of blocking those hormones so that person can feel more of themselves. Right. And it's essential it's as simple as just like taking a pill or an injection. It's not surgical.
Right.
It can be later on, but that's a different story. But what we're talking about here are teenagers who are suicidal. Mm-hmm. And this medical care is oftentimes the only thing that is helping these teenagers process, their identity and feel like they belong.
And take a child who's already having suicidal thoughts and keep passing laws that tell them that they're wrong, right? Mm-hmm. And making it less with the safe space stickers and signs, removing that. So
no flags. Flags are illegal. Yeah.
They don't feel accepted anywhere.
Yep. And and this is Florida. Florida is just leading the attacks on the LGBTQ community, led by, big boy boots.
Yep.
in the administration. So it really, like you just mentioned, there's no flags. You won't be able, if these bills pass, you can't have pride stickers. You can't get the medical care that you need. And you're not allowed to say gay or trans at work, according to House Bill 599, the Don't Say Gay or Trans at Work bill, which continues to escalate the right-wing censorship that forces this LGBTQ ideology into public and even private workplaces, which I couldn't believe that when I read it. Like, this is something that we were going to have to look into a little bit more, but it's like, if a private organization doesn't quote unquote rubber stamp this government's extremist viewpoint that these trans people don't exist, then
they'll be denied access to contracts.
Yeah, which I don't understand how that works, but I know that some private organizations do work with, the government in some capacity, and the government has the power to make it hard to run a business. And I just can't believe it. I mean, I can, but
what the fuck, Florida?
My humanity doesn't want to believe it. But yeah, it's just alarming. So much so that we are going to focus on some of the positive bills now.
Yes.
Such as House Bill 1355. But this one, I mean, while as awesome as it is, I'm almost like, why did you put all this stuff in one bill? It's just going to die.
Right.
So this bill is called the Freedom to Learn Act, which sounds great. We all want to learn. We want freedom. This is the United States of America. And basically what it does is it undoes the harms inflicted on the LGBTQ community. It kind of, makes it harder to challenge books. It allows the use of pronouns and, certain different names. It ensures that schools don't forcibly out students when it could endanger their safety at home. And it keeps more books on the shelves that have LGBTQ characters. But I hate to be pessimistic, but I would be very surprised if this bill passed. But we can still email our politicians.
Yeah, the more people that support it and like message our representatives and say, hey, we support this, we want this, it might make a difference.
Yeah, and that kind of leads me to the next point here, which is it's getting to a point where all we can do now is vote.
Yeah.
Which brings us to some of the bills about voting.
And this one isn't a Florida one because it's a positive one.
Oh yeah, let's do that one. I actually had a bad one, but we can lead with the positive one.
I thought you were leading to the other one.
Well, let me just let's end on a positive note. So I'll tell you about this is called the end vote by mail bill. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a frontal assault on foundational democratic principles. It would end no excuse mail-in voting and dramatically limit vote by mail, which is a critical tool for Floridians. And, that bill might not pass. You never know. But it's basically a fight between the left and the right in terms of who we're going to silence and who, deserves to be acknowledged. So that, this is all from the Equality Florida website, and there's some other websites that we'll put in our show notes here. But you can track these bills at the Florida Senate website and see which bills passed and which bills received support and which bills did not. But yeah, let's talk about some happy things, I guess.
So happy thing number one, what is it? Big Boy Boots is out of the presidential election.
Yay! We get Big Boy Boots for 2 more years.
That's the downfall of it, is now he'll be focused more on Florida.
Yeah.
So, but he's out at least there, and he took that loss like a big boy.
Yeah. Well, did he take it like a big boy? Because I saw he was working on a puzzle. Did you see that?
Yes.
It was like one of his, I don't know,
Was it the Build the Wall puzzle? Remember he came out with that ad?
No way.
You didn't see that ad?
No.
It was his wife. And
was there a puzzle of a wall?
Building blocks, I think, or something like that.
Oh my gosh.
And there was something about he doesn't support, he doesn't talk about Trump all the time, but he had this little child book that he reads his kids at night.
Oh my gosh.
That was Trump related.
Yeah.
Or if he plays with the kids, but it was the Build the Wall.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
It was, it was cringe, but I don't know.
Hold on a second. That wasn't satire? It was satire.
No.
It was not satire.
It seemed satire. It looked like an SNL skit.
Oh my God.
But it is real.
It's for real?
It's for real. This was the last election.
Okay, we have to find it and put it in the show notes because that sounds really fun to watch.
On another positive note, and this is not Florida because, again, it's a positive thing.
It's too positive to be in Florida.
But we'd like to bring it here. Mm-hmm. We would love to see this happen here. In New York, not New York.
Newark, New Jersey.
Newark, New Jersey.
Yeah.
16-year-olds win the right to vote in school board races.
That is so amazing. And that goes back to if you can work on a fucking roof, you can vote for your school board officials. Right? Not that we're allowing kids to work on roofs. Let me rephrase that. If you can work till 11 p.m. on a school night, you can vote for your goddamn school officials.
Yeah, and they should have a say. You know, these are the people making decisions on all things related to school. They should have a say as well.
And so that actually reminds me, I was reading about some of the public comments about the child labor bill, and all of the comments, so many of them were like, 16 and 17-year-olds aren't kids. They like to work. They should be allowed to work, as many hours as they want in whatever conditions they want. I'm like, okay, sure. I agree with you. They should also be allowed to pick out whatever goddamn book they want to read, and they should be able to vote for their school board members.
Yeah.
If they can drive a car and go to work and risk their lives on a dangerous construction site, then why can't they read a book that features a gay person? I
always find it so weird what they want to protect kids from.
Yeah.
It's never the good
Fake
things.
characters in books are so dangerous.
They don't mind lowering the age for gun ownership.
Oh, that's right. It was just lowered.
I'm surprised they haven't asked for 16-year-olds to be allowed to own guns.
That's the next thing because let's see, House bill, wait for it. Sorry, Senate bill 1124 is suggesting that the age be lowered from 21 to 18 to purchase AR-15s. Let's give 18-year-olds assault rifles.
Right. What age bracket are the ones doing all these
exactly
school shootings?
It's like 18 to 24 or something. But Yeah, and the guns, it boggles my mind because another House Bill 1619 is now suggesting open carry in places like polling locations, college campuses, athletic events. So, we're
all
just
the places where we've seen
where shootings have occurred.
School shootings.
And so if you want to play
shootings.
devil's advocate, then the sponsor of this bill would say something like, well, if there's more guns on a college campus, then it's less likely that people are going to die because, oh yeah, that brave 18-year-old with a handgun is going to take on another 18-year-old with an assault rifle.
And it rarely happens where there's like a hero with a gun.
Yeah, I haven't heard those stories.
I think there's been like one or two.
Yeah.
In
the grand scheme
but
of
it's
things.
rare. Mm-hmm. I mean, even cops have killed friendly fire,
Yeah. Well, speaking of that...
Is it friendly fire? Is that what you call that?
Friendly fire is when you accidentally kill someone in your own side.
Right?
Yeah.
So, or an innocent person, right?
Yeah.
So,
friendly fire would be a huge issue. Yeah.
Like, what training does this person have to whip out a gun and suddenly shoot a shooter?
Exactly.
In a crowd of people?
Yeah, exactly. And that reminds me, too, of the just terrible incident in Uvalde?
Yes.
Where the police officers...
wouldn't go in.
They didn't even go in. They didn't have an assault rifle. They knew that the attacker had an assault rifle. What did they do? They sat outside the school. So the answer is not more guns. But anyway, did we have more 5-star stories?
What else do we have for 5-star? I will say also with the New Jersey, the kids that can now vote, that was a student-led protest.
Oh,
They fought for this.
Okay.
Not a protest. What do you call that? A movement.
Movement, yeah.
And so it just goes to show when you guys get organized, you guys can make a huge impact and changes can happen.
Yeah, we'll put in our show notes, too, the link to the Youth Action Fund, which is a nonprofit organization led by, quote, Gen Z, providing young organizers with the tools needed to fight the far-right culture war raging throughout Florida. And that is led by Cameron Driggers, who was on our show and graduated from Flagler Palmquist High School.
Which I believe in February they're going to be down in Broward, or a chapter of them are going to be down in Broward. And we can also link their Amazon wish list because they want books to give out.
Oh, that's great.
So
okay.
Look for that in the show notes.
Cool. Well, I don't know. We should probably end on that positive note, don't you think?
Yep, that works.
So yeah, be sure to check out our show notes for action items that you can take. And remember, don't ban books.
Ban bigots. This episode has been engineered and mixed by your hosts, Jennifer Mendoza and Courtney Green.
Thanks for listening, and be sure to follow us at MILF for Books. That's MILF, the number 4, books, on TikTok, Instagram, Threads, and X or Twitter or whatever you want to call it.
And don't forget to help the show by rating us wherever you get your podcasts.